Hi dear. Welcome to Trader's Mind Code. Trading Psychology from the Disciplined Trader, Mark Douglas. Introduction. Why psychology is the real edge. Let's begin with a truth few traders realize until it's too late. The market doesn't beat you. Your own mind does. You see, most traders enter the market searching for an edge. They look for that perfect indicator, that flawless strategy, that secret setup no one else knows about. But even when they find something that works, they struggle. They break their rules. They chase losses. They hesitate. They overtrade. They self-destruct. Why? Because their greatest challenge isn't the market. It's their own psychology. The illusion of control. In The Disciplined Trader, Mark Douglas introduces us to a harsh truth. The market is an unpredictable environment. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how much you know. It doesn't reward intelligence, effort, or even experience unless you master yourself first. Many traders operate under an illusion, the illusion that they can control the outcome of a trade. But here's the kicker. You can't control outcomes. You can only control your behavior. The market is a chaotic mix of participants, motives, and randomness. That means every trade is a probability, not a certainty. So, if you're trying to control something uncontrollable, you'll always feel stress. You'll always be anxious. You'll always make mistakes. The real battlefield is internal. Mark Douglas didn't just teach trading. He taught us how to see ourselves clearly, how to understand the subtle forces, fear, greed, ego, hope, that distort our perception and decision-making. Think about it. Have you ever exited a winning trade too early, only to watch it keep running? Have you ever doubled down on a loser, telling yourself it had to come back? Have you ever hesitated to enter, even when your system gave a clear signal? These are not strategy problems. They are psychology problems. What we believe, how we interpret risk, and how we manage uncertainty. These are the foundations of trading success. Without this mental framework, even the best system will eventually fail because we will fail to follow it. Why most traders fail statistically? Most retail traders lose money, not because they lack information, but because they lack discipline. They get emotional. They become reactive. They start trading not based on logic or plans, but on fear, frustration, and the need to be right. They confuse activity with progress. They try to fight the market instead of flowing with it. And slowly, trade by trade, they burn out. This book is here to break that cycle. This book is not just about trading. It's about transformation. This book is your journey inward. Inspired by the insights of the Disciplined Trader, we'll go deeper into why your beliefs about risk shape your results, how to separate self-worth from trade outcomes, how to think in probabilities, not predictions, how to embrace uncertainty and thrive in it, and most importantly, how to become a disciplined trader. Each chapter will explore one psychological shift you must make to trade not with emotion, but with confidence, clarity, and control. The real edge is invisible in the end. The real edge is not on the chart, that it's not in the news. It's not in a Discord group. It's not even in your trading strategy. The real edge is in your mindset. Once you understand that, you stop blaming the market. You stop needing to be right. You stop fighting against reality, and instead, you become fluid, focused, calm, professional. That's when trading becomes more than a game. It becomes a craft, a practice, a performance, and you become a true trader. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Breaking the illusion of market control. There's a quiet lie many traders believe, a lie that whispers, if I just learn enough, study hard enough, analyze deep enough, I'll be able to control what happens next. This is the illusion of market control, and it's one of the most dangerous beliefs in trading. The chase for certainty. When you start trading, you're looking for certainty. You want to win. You want to avoid losses. You want to feel safe in an environment that is anything but safe. So you start searching for patterns. You build strategies. You tweak indicators. You backtest for hours. You think, if I can just find the right setup, I can predict what comes next. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The market does not owe you certainty. It only offers opportunity, never guarantees. You can do everything right and still lose. You can break every rule and still win. Because the market is a probabilistic environment, not a logical one. That it's ruled by millions of participants, each with their own motives, fears, and timeframes. No one trade is ever predictable with absolute certainty. And until you accept that, Until you emotionally detach from needing to control the market, you will suffer. Over and over again. The danger of emotional attachment when you believe you can control outcomes. You tie your emotions to every result. A losing trade feels like personal failure. A winning trade feels like proof you're good at trading. This creates a roller coaster of highs and lows, fueled not by the market, but by your internal need for control. You start second-guessing. You hesitate on entries. You revenge trade after a loss. You move your stop-loss because maybe it'll bounce. All because you're trying to force the market to obey your expectations. But the market doesn't care about your expectations. It only reflects one thing: the collective behavior of all participants. And that's why control is an illusion. Let go to gain control. Paradoxically, the only way to gain true control in trading is to let go of the need to control the market. You can't control whether a trade wins or loses, but you can control how much you risk. You can control your entry and exit rules. You can control your emotional reactions, and that is where your real power lies. Trading mastery begins when you stop trying to control the market and start mastering yourself. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with one core belief: I am not here to predict the market. I'm here to execute a proven edge consistently. The casino metaphor. Let's borrow an idea Mark Douglas shared. Think like a casino. Casinos don't care which individual bet wins or loses. They know the odds are in their favor over time. So they focus on process, volume, and discipline, not individual outcomes. You must adopt the same mindset that you're not here to win every trade. You're here to follow your process with consistency and let the law of large numbers play out. Each trade is just one roll of the dice. Your job is not to win them all. It's to manage risk, act without emotion, and repeat your edge, shifting the focus from outcome to process. So ask yourself this: are you obsessed with whether the next trade will win? Or are you focused on following your rules without hesitation? One leads to anxiety, fear, and burnout. The other leads to freedom, clarity, and long-term success. When you break the illusion of control, something amazing happens. You stop feeling the need to be right. You stop chasing perfection. You stop fearing losses. Instead, you start flowing with the market like water. You trade what you see, not what you hope. You become detached, centered, and calm, even in chaos. That is the mindset of a disciplined trader. Reflection exercise. Embracing uncertainty. Let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself, do I feel angry when I lose, even if I followed my plan? Do I try to avoid losses at all costs? Do I think my success depends on being right often? If the answer is yes, that's okay. Awareness is the first step. Now say this aloud: I accept that every trade is uncertain. My job is not to control the market, but to control myself. I trust my edge. I trust my process. I do not need to be right. I only need to be disciplined. Repeat this until it sinks in. Because the day you embrace uncertainty is the day you step into power. Final words. Breaking the illusion of market control is not just about trading. It's about surrendering your ego. It's about accepting reality. It's about transforming from a reactive trader to a professional. This is the first psychological wall we must break through. And once you do, it's like lifting a heavy burden. You trade lighter, freer, smarter. You stop trying to predict the storm and start learning how to sail through it. Chapter 2. The trader's inner world. If the market is the battlefield, then your mind is the command center. Before you ever click, buy, or sell, before a trade wins or loses, before any result appears on the screen, a decision is made in silence, deep inside your mind. And that's where this journey takes us now, into the trader's inner world. Trading is 80% mental. You may have heard the saying, trading is 80% psychology, 20% strategy. That's not just a motivational quote. It's a warning, a clue, a challenge, because the charts you look at every day, they don't determine your outcome. You do. It's not the strategy that fails. It's the mind executing the strategy that matters most. Mark Douglas emphasized this throughout The Disciplined Trader. He reminded us that trading success is not found in technical knowledge, but in emotional balance, mental clarity, and inner stability. Meet the real opponent, yourself. You are not trading against the market. You are trading against your Fear of loss, desire to be right, impulse to avoid pain, need for validation, egos, need for control. These forces don't show up on your chart, but they show up in your decisions. They whisper, don't take this loss. Maybe wait a little longer. They scream, get back in now. You just missed the big move. They tempt you with revenge, greed, doubt, and regret. The market simply reflects your mental state. Your equity curve is a mirror, showing you not just your skills, but your inner conflicts. The emotional echo chamber, the trader's mind, is like an echo chamber. Your beliefs, thoughts, and emotions bounce around and eventually shape your reality. If you believe losses are bad, you'll avoid them. If you believe winning makes you worthy, you'll chase it. If you believe mistakes make you a failure, you'll hide from risk. But here's the thing. None of those beliefs are facts. They're just mental filters, stories you've picked up from past experiences, upbringing, or trauma. In trading, these old stories become traps. They cause hesitation, frustration, self-doubt. They pull you away from logic and toward emotional chaos. If you want to trade freely, you must rewrite the internal narrative. Self-awareness. The trader's superpower. Every consistently successful trader shares one thing in common: high self-awareness. They know when they're operating from fear. They sense when ego is sneaking into their decisions. They notice emotional shifts before they act on them. This level of awareness doesn't happen by accident. It's trained, developed, sharpened over time. You must learn to observe your mind like an outsider, to become the watcher of your thoughts, to pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? Where is this urge coming from? Am I making this decision based on fear or fact? This is not just reflection. It's protection. It protects your capital. It protects your strategy. And it protects your progress. Emotions are not enemies. They're signals. You don't need to suppress your emotions to be a great trader. You need to understand them. Fear, for example, is not the enemy. It's a signal, a message. It's saying, you're uncertain. You don't trust yourself here. Anger says, you feel out of control. Greed says, you're chasing validation or safety. These emotional signals are like blinking dashboard lights in your trading vehicle. Ignore them, and your engine burns out. Understand them, and you become a better driver. Don't fight your emotions. Learn from them. Ask, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Because when you listen deeply to your inner world, you'll discover the exact shifts you need to make on the outside. The conscious versus the subconscious. Here's a secret most traders overlook. Your subconscious mind is running the show. You may consciously know your rules. You may logically understand your system, but when fear hits, when money is on the line, when you're on a losing streak, it's your subconscious habits, beliefs, and emotional patterns that take over. The real work is not in reading more charts. The real work is in reprogramming your responses. And that starts with awareness, reflection, and repetition. Reflection exercise. Know thyself. Let's pause, close your eyes, and ask yourself honestly, what emotions show up most often when I trade? Do I fear losing money, or do I fear being wrong? When I break my rules, what am I trying to avoid or gain? Write your answers. Don't filter. This is your map, your emotional blueprint. Because you cannot master what you don't understand. Final words. The trader's inner world is where real transformation begins. If you try to fix your trading from the outside, in strategies, tools, or setups, without healing what's happening inside, you'll repeat the same cycle over and over again. But once you turn inward, once you bring awareness to your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, you stop being a reactive trader, and you start becoming a conscious trader. A trader who thinks clearly, acts decisively, and grows continuously. This chapter is your invitation. Step into the mirror. Look inside, because you are the edge you've been searching for. Chapter 3. Beliefs, Fear, and Emotional Traps. A belief is just a thought you've repeated long enough to feel true. Mark Douglas. In this chapter, we dig deeper into the emotional engine that drives every action, every hesitation, every self-sabotaging decision a trader makes. We're talking about beliefs, because beliefs shape perception, and perception shapes behavior. In trading, that can mean the difference between success and self-destruction. Beliefs, the hidden operating system. Imagine your mind is a computer. Your conscious thoughts are like apps you open and close. But your beliefs? They're the underlying operating system, always running in the background. You don't think about them. You don't question them. You act through them. Here's the problem. Most of our beliefs weren't consciously chosen. They were absorbed from childhood, from school, from trauma, from failure. Now, you bring them to the charts. If you believe losing is failure, every stop loss feels like shame. If you believe money equals safety, you'll panic during drawdowns. If you believe you must be right, you'll hold on to losers far too long. If you believe you're not worthy of success, you'll subconsciously sabotage big wins. The market doesn't punish you. Your beliefs do. Fear is the emotion of uncertainty. Let's talk about fear. Fear is the strongest emotional force in trading. Not because of what the market does, but because of what your mind thinks might happen. Fear is imagination. It's the brain trying to protect you from a threat that may not even exist in the market. This threat often comes in the form of fear of losing money, fear of being wrong, fear of missing out, fear of looking foolish. But here's what Mark Douglas taught us. Fear is not about the market. It's about your inability to accept uncertainty. You fear what you can't control. You fear what you can't predict. And when you haven't fully accepted that every trade outcome is random, fear takes over. That fear leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to missed opportunities. Missed opportunities lead to frustration. And frustration leads to revenge trading. A full emotional loop, triggered not by the market, but by a belief that you must avoid pain at all costs. The trap of needing to be right. Let's look at one of the most common emotional traps, the need to be right. Why do we cling to bad trades? Why do we fight losing positions? Why do we avoid admitting mistakes? Because deep down, many traders tie their self-worth to being correct. In the outside world, being right feels powerful. In trading, that belief is poison. The truth is, being right doesn't matter. Consistency does. Execution does. Risk control does. Let go of the ego's need to be right. Instead, become obsessed with following your process. A disciplined trader doesn't need to win every trade. They just need to stick to their edge over and over again. Emotional traps that hijack your trading. Let's break down some of the most common traps. 1. The perfection trap. You wait for the perfect setup. You overanalyze. You miss entry after entry. Why? Because deep down, you fear making a mistake. Reality check. No setup is perfect. Trading is imperfect action, managed with consistency. Point 2. The hope trap. You hold on to a losing trade, thinking it has to come back. Hope replaces logic. Soon, a small loss becomes a disaster. Hope is not a strategy. Cut the loss. Follow the plan. Point 3. The revenge trap. You take a loss and immediately want to get it back. You double your size. Break your rules. Now you're trading from emotion, not edge. Revenge trading turns a scratch into a scar. Step back. Reset your mind. Point 4. The avoidance trap. You fear placing a trade. You avoid risk. You convince yourself it's not the right time, over and over again. Avoiding discomfort keeps you stuck. Trading requires stepping into uncertainty willingly. The antidote: belief reprogramming. If your beliefs create emotional traps, then the solution is not just to resist the emotions, it's to upgrade the beliefs causing them. Here's how. Step 1. Identify the limiting belief. Ask, what do I believe about losses, risk, or failure? Example: losing means I'm not good enough. Step 2. Challenge the belief. Ask, is this belief 100% true? Where did I learn it? Answer: no. Losing is part of trading. Even pros lose all the time. Step 3. Replace the belief. Create a new, empowering statement. Losses are part of the process. They don't define me, they refine me. Repeat this often. Not once, not twice. Daily. Emotionally. With intention. Over time, your inner world starts to change. Your reactions soften. Your fear fades. Your execution sharpens. Reflection exercise. What belief drives you? Close your eyes and ask, what belief drives me when I hesitate? What belief shows up when I chase trades? What belief causes me to overtrade after a loss? Now write this down. The belief I need to let go of is underscore 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 underscore. The belief I choose to adopt is underscore 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 underscore. This is how you recode your mental software, one belief at a time. Chapter 4. The need to be right. and how it sabotages you. Imagine this. You enter a trade. It moves against you. Your stop loss is nearing, but something inside you refuses to close it. You tell yourself, it'll bounce back. It has to. But deep down, you're not fighting the market anymore. You're fighting your ego. This is the invisible battle that destroys more traders than bad setups, poor systems, or broken indicators ever will. That it's called the need to be right. And it's your mind's most deceptive trap. Being right feels good, but costs a lot. Let's be honest. Being right feels amazing. It validates your intelligence. It confirms your skill. It strokes your ego. And in the real world, being right often means winning, getting rewarded, feeling respected. But in trading, that mindset doesn't work. In trading, needing to be right leads to hesitation, overconfidence, and emotional decisions that it causes you to hold losing trades, hoping they'll turn around, double down on bad positions to prove you were right. All along, ignore risk, thinking your analysis should override reality. Exit winners too soon, just to lock in the feeling of success, all because your identity is tied to a trade outcome that you're no longer managing risk. You're managing your self-worth, and that's a dangerous place to trade from. Why we need to be right to overcome this trap? We must understand where it comes from. It's not just arrogance. It's psychological conditioning. From childhood, we were rewarded for being right and punished for being wrong. In school, the right answer got you praise. At work, the right decision earned promotions. In life, being wrong often meant embarrassment or shame. So naturally, we carry this belief into trading. If I'm right, I'm good. If I'm wrong, I'm bad. But the market doesn't care about right or wrong. It only reflects probability and behavior. Mark Douglas said it best. To be a consistently successful trader, you have to give up your need to be right. Because needing to be right blinds you. You stop seeing the market objectively. You start interpreting data in ways that confirm your bias. This is called confirmation bias, and it's the silent killer of trading accounts. How this need sabotages your trades. Let's look at the chain reaction it creates. You enter a trade based on your setup. It moves against you. Instead of exiting, you argue with the market. You zoom out the chart. You find news to justify your entry. You ignore your stop loss. The loss grows. You double down, not logically, but emotionally. Eventually, the trade collapses, and so does your confidence. Now you're not just down money, you're mentally wrecked. All because you couldn't accept being wrong. Let go of ego. Gain clarity. Here's a secret the best traders know. Trading is not about being right. It's about making good decisions. Think about a casino. A casino doesn't need every bet to win. It knows the odds are in its favor over time. It accepts losses. It doesn't argue with them. It doesn't chase. It doesn't panic. It just runs the system again and again. You must become the same. Let go of the need to prove yourself with each trade. Let go of the emotional charge tied to winning or losing. Detach your identity from the outcome. When you do, everything changes. You take stops with grace. You let winners run without fear. You enter trades with clarity, not tension. You stop trading to be right and start trading to execute. Flip the narrative. Redefine what it means to win. Here's a mindset shift you can adopt immediately. Winning in trading isn't about being right. It's about following my plan with discipline. Every time you follow your process, you win. Even if the trade loses, every time you override your rules, you lose. Even if the trade makes money, this mindset rewires your emotional reactions. You stop obsessing over this trade. You start focusing on the next 1,000 trades. And that's when you begin to trade like a professional. Reflection exercise. Ego check and ask yourself, do I feel ashamed when I'm wrong? Do I hold trades too long to avoid being wrong? Do I take profits early just to lock in a win? Now write this statement. I am willing to be wrong. Being wrong doesn't mean I failed. It means I followed my edge. My goal is not to be right, but to be consistent and disciplined. Repeat it until it becomes your truth. Because when you free yourself from the need to be right, you free your mind to trade clearly. Final words, the market is a mirror. It reflects not just your system, but yourself. If your identity is tied to every outcome, trading becomes a personal battle you can't win. But when you remove ego from the equation, when you embrace the idea that losses are normal, mistakes are lessons, and being wrong is part of the game, that's when you step into mastery. Trading stops being emotional. It becomes strategic, intentional. Clean.s. The next time you feel the urge to be right, remember this. You don't need to be right to win. You just need to be disciplined enough to follow your edge every single time. Chapter 5. From outcome addiction to process mastery, there's a subtle addiction in trading. One that doesn't get talked about enough, that it's not the addiction to charts, or to risk, or even to the thrill, that it's the addiction to outcomes. You know the feeling. You obsessively check whether a trade is green or red. Your mood rises and falls with your P&L. You feel elated when a trade wins and crushed when it doesn't. This is outcome addiction, and it's one of the biggest reasons traders struggle to grow. The outcome trap. Let's break it down. Outcome addiction is the habit of attaching your emotional state to trade results. When the outcome is favorable, you feel successful, smart, in control. When the outcome is a loss, you feel like you failed, like you're broken, like you don't belong. You begin to live and die by every trade. Even worse, you stop evaluating your performance based on execution and start measuring it by luck. Here's the dangerous truth. Good outcomes can come from bad decisions. Bad outcomes can come from good decisions. This randomness creates confusion. You start to distrust your system. You question your edge. You tweak your strategy, based not on logic, but on recent outcomes. That you're no longer a trader. You're a gambler in disguise, chasing emotional highs, avoiding emotional lows. The cost of chasing results. When you're fixated on results, three things start to happen. 1. You lose consistency. You over-optimize. You jump from system to system. You overreact to short-term results, forgetting the long game. 2. You lose discipline. You skip steps. You break rules. You force trades. You're no longer following your edge. You're chasing feelings. 3. You lose clarity. You can't separate good decisions from lucky ones. You don't know if your system is working or if you just got lucky. Progress becomes impossible. Process. The antidote to outcome addiction. To heal from this cycle, you must shift your identity as a trader from someone who obsesses over results to someone who is obsessed with the process. Because the process is the only thing you can control. You can't control how the market moves. You can't control what other traders do. But you can control your risk per trade, your entry and exit rules, your journaling habits, your response to losing trades, your commitment to growth. That's where your power lies. And that's where real trading begins. What is process mastery? Process mastery means you focus on execution over outcome. You measure your success not by how much you made, but by how well you followed your plan. You grade yourself like this. White heavy check mark. Did I follow my rules? White heavy check mark. Did I size my risk properly? White heavy check mark. Did I take the trade I was supposed to take, even if I was scared? White heavy check mark. Did I log the trade, review it, and reflect? If the answer is yes, you won, even if the trade lost, because that's what pros do. They focus on repeatable behavior. They treat trading like a business, not a game of emotional roulette. The power of detachment. One of the biggest turning points in a trader's journey is this. You stop caring so much about the outcome of a single trade. That doesn't mean you stop caring about results completely. It means you detach from the need for immediate validation. You stop needing to win now. You start trusting that if you follow your edge with discipline, the results will take care of themselves. You shift from trying to control the outcome to trusting in the process over time. This detachment is what gives you peace. It's what allows you to trade without stress, pressure, or fear. It's how trading becomes sustainable, mentally, emotionally, and financially. Building your process framework. Let's get practical. Here's how you can begin shifting from outcome obsession to process mastery. Step 1. Define your process. What qualifies as an A+ setup? What is your exact entry criteria? What are your rules for stop loss, take profit, and trade size? Write this down. Make it sacred. Step 2. Track execution, not just P&L after each trade. Journal. White heavy check mark. Did I follow the plan? White heavy check mark. What emotions came up? White heavy check mark. What can I improve? Focus on behavioral consistency. Step 3. Detach from the immediate outcome. One trade means nothing in the big picture. You are playing a long-term game. Start thinking in series of trades, not individual wins or losses. Step 4. Reward process, not results. Celebrate when you follow your rules, even if the trade lost. Reflect when you broke them, even if the trade won. This rewires your brain. 4. Discipline. Reflection exercise. Shift your scorecard. Take a moment to answer this. Am I judging myself by results or by execution? Now write this new scorecard. Today, I will measure success by white heavy checkmark, following my plan, white heavy checkmark, managing risk, white heavy checkmark, staying emotionally neutral, white heavy checkmark, reviewing my performance, white heavy checkmark, growing as a trader, regardless of outcome. Repeat this mantra every morning before you trade. Let it become your new identity. Final words. Outcome addiction is the subtle destroyer of trading dreams. It turns a trader into a gambler. It clouds judgment, fuels emotion, and erodes confidence. But when you shift into process mastery, you unlock a new level of performance. You begin to trade with consistency, discipline, and calm. You stop chasing wins because you know they're coming, not by luck, but by design. So remember this. You are not here to win trades. You are here to execute your edge with excellence. That is the game. That is the goal. And that is where your power lies. Chapter 6. Building a probabilistic mindset. The best traders think in probabilities, not predictions. Mark Douglas. This chapter is the turning point. Because once you internalize this mindset, truly live it, your trading will never feel the same again. Welcome to the foundation of emotional freedom in the markets, the probabilistic mindset. What does it mean to think in probabilities? Let's begin with a simple truth. Every trade is a probability, not a promise. You can have the perfect setup. You can follow your rules to the letter, and the trade can still lose. Why? Because the market is not a math equation. It's a dynamic system driven by millions of traders, all acting on different motives, time frames, and strategies. In one trade can be guaranteed. But over a series of trades, if you have an edge, you come out ahead. That's the difference between thinking like an amateur and thinking like a professional. The trap of certainty. Here's where most traders go wrong. They search for certainty where there is none. They look for the perfect setup. They overanalyze, waiting for a trade that must win. And when it fails, they feel betrayed. But certainty is an illusion, and needing it creates pain. It makes you overreact to losses. It makes you avoid good setups out of fear. It keeps you emotionally tied to every trade. The probabilistic mindset breaks that chain. How the best traders think. Top traders don't think, this trade has to work. They think, this trade has a high probability based on my system. If it wins, great. If it loses, I'll take the next one. They see each trade like a casino sees a bet, not a test of their intelligence, not a judgment of their worth, but just one event in a large sample size. They detach from the result because they trust the process. That's what it means to be probabilistic. Shifting from outcome-based thinking. Let's look at the difference between the two mindsets. Outcome-based thinking, probabilistic thinking. I hope this trade works. This trade is one of many. If this loses, I must be doing something wrong. Losses are part of the plan. I need to win to feel good about myself. I feel good because I followed my edge. One loss ruins my confidence. Confidence comes from consistency. When you shift your internal narrative from outcomes to odds, you eliminate emotional spikes. You become calm, grounded, focused. You begin trading like a probability manager, not a prediction addict. Embracing random distribution. One of the core teachings of the disciplined trader is this. Your edge plays out over a series, not a single trade. If your system has a 60% win rate, that doesn't mean every 6 out of 10 trades will win in perfect order. You might get 3 losers in a row. You might get 5 winners. The sequence is random. But over 100 or 500 trades, the edge reveals itself. This is called random distribution. Once you embrace it, losses no longer feel personal. They're just part of the data, part of the game. You stop reacting. You start observing. That's the mindset of a peak performer. Practical ways to build a probabilistic mindset. Let's turn this into action. Point 1. Journal and series. Stop thinking in single trades. Start reviewing every 20 trade block as a batch. Ask, did I follow my edge? What patterns repeated? What was my overall performance? This builds trust in the process. Point 2. Use trade affirmations before each session. Say, each trade is just one event. My job is to execute my plan. The result of one trade means nothing. Only the series matters. Speak it. Believe it. Live at. Point 3. Reframe your losses after a loss. Don't ask, why did I lose? Ask, did I follow my plan? Was this within the boundaries of my edge? If yes, celebrate. That's a win for your discipline. Point 4. Visualize variance mentally. Rehearse drawdowns. Prepare for clusters of losses. Don't fear them. Expect them. That way, when they arrive, you don't panic. You stay the course. Reflection exercise. Reprogram the narrative. Complete this sentence. I used to believe every trade had to win, but now I understand that. Write your truth. Maybe each trade is just one in a long series. My success comes from consistent execution, not individual results. Losses are not bad. They're part of my edge unfolding. Read it daily. Let it shape your emotional response. Final words. A probabilistic mindset is not just a mental tool. It's the core of emotional resilience in trading. Once you adopt it, you stop fearing losses. You stop chasing certainty. You stop tying your identity to each result. You start playing the long game. You start seeing the market for what it is, an environment of opportunities, not guarantees. And most of all, you start trading with peace because you no longer need to be right. You only need to execute your edge again and again. Chapter 7. Developing confidence without certainty. Confidence is not the result of winning. It's the result of knowing you can handle losing. Inspired by Mark Douglas' confidence that it's one of the most desired traits in trading, and also one of the most misunderstood. Most traders believe confidence comes from a string of winning trades. But in reality, that's not confidence. That's dependence on favorable outcomes. True confidence, the kind that's unshakable, the kind professionals carry, doesn't come from being right. It comes from knowing you can operate effectively, even when you're wrong. That's the paradox we'll explore in this chapter. How to develop unbreakable confidence in an environment of total uncertainty. Why most traders have fragile confidence. Let's begin with a question. Have you ever felt on top of the world after 3 winning trades in a row, only to feel completely shattered after 2 losses? That's a clear sign your confidence is outcome dependent. When your confidence rises and falls with each trade result, you're not operating from strength. You're reacting to circumstance. This makes you fearful after a loss, overconfident. After a win, emotionally unstable during trades, vulnerable to impulsive decisions. You essentially handing your emotional well-being over to the market. But here's the problem. The market is uncertain by nature. If your confidence relies on certainty, you will always be at risk. Certainty is not required. Clarity is. Here's what Mark Douglas taught us. You don't need to know what will happen next to make money. You only need to know that you don't need to know. Read that again. Most traders spend their careers trying to eliminate uncertainty. They search for the perfect strategy. They look for indicators that always work. They avoid pulling the trigger until everything feels just right. But that's not confidence. That's anxiety in disguise. Confidence doesn't mean being sure of the outcome. It means being sure of your process, no matter the outcome. What real trading confidence looks like. Let's paint the picture that a confident trader can enter a trade without hesitation, knowing it might lose, exit a losing trade without frustration, knowing it's part of the plan, stick to their rules. Even after a losing streak, add size gradually, not impulsively, but because their data supports it. Review their performance with honesty, not ego. This kind of confidence is built on skill and discipline, not on luck or recent wins. It's quiet, steady, grounded, and it grows over time with repetition and reflection. The 3 pillars of confidence in trading. Let's make this actionable. There are 3 major components of real trading confidence. 1. Confidence in your edge. Your trading strategy must be tested, documented, and trusted. Backtest your system. Understand your win rate, risk-reward ratio, drawdown potential. Know how your edge performs over time. Once you trust your system, you stop doubting every trade. That you're no longer asking, will this work? You're saying, this has a statistical edge, I'll take it and move on. 2. Confidence in yourself. This is deeper. You need to trust that you will follow your rules. You can handle losses without falling apart. You'll stay disciplined even in drawdowns. You're growing. Even when results are flat. This confidence isn't given. It's built, one action at a time. Every time you stick to your stop loss. Every time you take a valid trade, even after a loss. Every time you reflect instead of react, you're building proof. Proof that you are becoming the trader you want to be. Point 3. Confidence in uncertainty. This is the final level. You stop needing the market to cooperate. You stop fearing what you don't know. Instead, you embrace the unknown. You see the market as an environment of opportunity, not control. You become adaptable, flexible, responsive, like a surfer riding waves, not trying to change the ocean. That's what elite traders do. They don't need the next trade to win. They just need the next trade to meet their criteria. How to train confidence without certainty. Here's your confidence building framework. White heavy checkmark. Take every valid setup. Don't cherry pick. Don't wait for the perfect one. Build trust by taking every trade your edge gives. Win or lose. White heavy checkmark. Journal emotional reactions. Note how you feel before, during, and after trades. Look for patterns. Learn where fear or overconfidence creeps in. White heavy checkmark. Reframe losses as data. A losing trade isn't failure. It's feedback. Use it to sharpen your process, not weaken your confidence. White heavy checkmark. Visualize trading calmly under pressure. Mental rehearsal is powerful. Imagine yourself taking a loss with peace, following your plan without flinching, reviewing trades with objectivity. You're training your nervous system to stay neutral. White heavy checkmark. Detach identity from outcome. This is key. You are not your P&L. You are not your win rate. You are not your last trade. You are the process, the system, the discipline behind it. That's your true identity. Reflection exercise. Define confidence anew. Complete this sentence. Confidence, to me, means underscore, 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 underscore. Here are some possibilities. Staying consistent regardless of outcome. Trusting my plan, not my feelings. Acting with clarity in the face of uncertainty. Write it, read it, own it. Let this be your new definition. Final word. Certainty is a myth, but confidence, that's real. And it doesn't require you to win every trade. It only requires you to believe in your edge, trust yourself, and respect the randomness of the market. This shift changes everything. You stop forcing trades. You stop fearing losses. You stop tying your worth to your wins. You trade with calm, with purpose, with clarity. That's what it means to develop confidence without certainty. And once you do, the market no longer controls your mind. You do. Chapter 8. Emotional discipline in high-stakes environments. In trading, your greatest enemy is not the market. It's the impulse to abandon discipline when it matters most. Inspired by Mark Douglas. Everyone feels disciplined on a demo account. Everyone feels calm when the stakes are low. But what happens when there's real money on the line? What happens when a position moves against you fast? What do you do when you're up big and fear losing it all creeps in? This is where emotional discipline becomes everything. Because in trading, stress is not optional, but emotional reaction is. Let's explore how to stay calm, focused, and rational when the pressure is at its peak. The illusion of discipline. Here's a common trap traders fall into. They believe they're disciplined until the market tests them. But true discipline isn't proven in comfort. It's forged in chaos. It's when your setup is valid, but your last 2 trades were losses. It's when a candle spikes just above your stop and the fear of another loss tempts you to move it. It's when you're up 3 or on a trade and greed whispers, maybe just a little more. These are high-stakes moments, and they separate professionals from emotional amateurs. Why we break discipline under pressure. Emotional discipline breaks for one simple reason. We prioritize feelings over logic. You know your rules. You know your edge. But when fear, greed, or stress hit, the brain switches modes. It stops being analytical. It starts being protective. Fear says, asterisk, get out now. Greed says, stay in. Don't miss out. Ego says, don't be wrong again. These emotions are primal. They're designed for survival, not trading. And in high-stakes moments, they feel urgent and real. But trading success comes when you learn to act from your plan, not your feelings. The role of the prefrontal cortex. Let's get scientific for a moment. When you're calm, the prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, is in charge. You make decisions based on logic, strategy, and long-term thinking. But under stress, your amygdala, the fear center, takes over. This causes fight or flight reactions. You start to act emotionally. Cutting winners too early, holding on to losers too long, over-leveraging after a loss, hesitating on valid setups. In these moments, your edge disappears. Not because it's broken, but because you're no longer executing it. Discipline is a skill, not a trait. The good news: emotional discipline can be trained. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. Just like muscles grow under resistance, your discipline grows when you face pressure and choose to follow your plan anyway. Each time you respect your stop-loss exit when your rule says exit, avoid over trading after a win or loss, say no to emotional impulses. You strengthen the mental muscle of discipline. Do this enough times, and it becomes automatic. Daily habits that build emotional discipline. Let's go practical. Here are 5 key habits that will help you stay composed under pressure. White heavy checkmark 1. Pre-market ritual. Before you trade, center yourself. Review your trading plan, meditate, or breathe deeply for 3 to 5 minutes. Remind yourself, my job is not to win today. My job is to follow my edge. Start from calm, and you'll carry it into the session. White heavy checkmark 2. Visualize high-stress scenarios. Mentally rehearse what you'll do when things go wrong. What if your trade immediately goes red? What if you hit max loss for the day? What if a winning trade reverses hard? Visualizing these before they happen prepares your mind to respond, not react. White heavy checkmark 3. Use a rule card. Have your trading rules written on a note card or sticky note visible on your screen. In moments of stress, look at the card. Let your rules speak louder than your emotions. White heavy checkmark 4. Trade smaller during emotional swings. Feeling overly excited or frustrated from a loss? That's not the time to go big. Reduce position size. Protect your psychology. Discipline means walking away from temptation, not chasing it. White heavy checkmark 5. Journal your emotional triggers after your session. Reflect. When did I feel pressure? What thoughts came up? Did I act on emotion or discipline? This self-awareness is the beginning of mastery. Discipline in a winning streak versus losing streak. Discipline isn't just about how you handle losses. It's how you handle success, too. Winning streaks can cause overconfidence, oversizing, breaking rules to accelerate growth. Losing streaks can cause fear of entering desperation trades, self-doubt. Your job: treat both imposters, success and failure, with the same mindset. No matter the result, I follow my process. This is where emotional balance is born. Reflection exercise. Anchor your discipline. Answer this: what emotional triggers cause me to break my rules? How can I respond differently the next time? Then write and affirm this aloud. I don't need to feel confident to act with discipline. I trust my edge. I respect my rules. Discipline is my edge in uncertainty. Make this your anchor. When emotions surge, final words in high-stakes environments. Discipline is everything. It's the difference between growth and collapse, between short-term thrill and long-term consistency. You won't always feel calm. You won't always feel in control, but you don't need to. You just need to build the habit of acting from your plan, not your emotion. Do that enough, and trading becomes simpler, cleaner, quieter, because you're no longer a slave to your reactions. You're the master of your behavior, and that's when you become a professional in a world of amateurs. Chapter 9. Turning psychological pain into a trading edge. The most painful moments in trading aren't setbacks, they're signals. They show you exactly where your growth begins. Inspired by Mark Douglas, every trader has a breaking point. The trade that spiraled out of control. The loss that felt like a personal failure. The moment you stared at your screen in silence, wondering if you're cut out for this. This pain is real, and if you felt it, you're not alone. But here's the truth. That pain doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've reached the edge of your current identity as a trader, and now it's time to evolve. The hidden gift of pain. Most traders try to avoid pain at all costs. They change strategies after a loss. They stop trading after a drawdown, without reflection. They numb the emotion with distractions or overtrading. But what if pain wasn't something to avoid? What if it was something to listen to? Because psychological pain is feedback. It's the subconscious saying, something here needs your attention. Something here is untrained, unhealed, or out of alignment. And that makes pain incredibly powerful. If you know how to use it, pain shows you what you're attached to. Every emotional reaction in trading comes from an attachment. Pain from a losing trade equals I'm attached to being right. Pain from missing a setup equals I'm attached to control. Pain from giving back profits equals I'm attached to outcome. The more intense the pain, the deeper the attachment. Instead of pushing the pain away, pull it closer. Ask it questions. What belief is this pain protecting? What fear is this pain pointing to? What does this moment reveal about how I see myself as a trader? This is emotional excavation, and it's where transformation begins. The three types of trading pain and what they teach. 1. The pain of loss, what it teaches. How you define failure. Common belief. Losing means I'm bad at trading. Growth opportunity. Redefine losing as a natural cost of doing business. Point 2. The pain of discipline, what it teaches. Your resistance to structure. Common belief. Following rules means giving up control. Growth opportunity. Embrace structure as freedom, not confinement. Point 3. The pain of growth, what it teaches. Your fear of change. Common belief. If I let go of old habits, I'll lose my edge. Growth opportunity. Release what no longer serves your evolution. Pain is not punishment. Pain is the invitation to step into your next level. From emotional triggers to training grounds, let's reframe how we see emotional triggers. Don't see them as threats. See them as training sessions. That moment you feel the urge to overtrade, it's a test of patience. That rage you feel after a stop-loss hit, it's a test of detachment. That voice in your head that says, you're not good enough, it's a test of self-worth, outside of performance. When you treat pain as a signal, not a sentence, you become stronger with every session. Pain becomes an edge when it becomes self-awareness. Most traders run from pain. Few sit with it. Even fewer study it. But those who do become the rare kind of trader who improves faster than others. Why? Because they're not just tweaking setups. They're refining themselves. Every emotional breakdown becomes a breakthrough. Every psychological scar becomes a mental callus, a layer of resilience. And that resilience? That's your edge. It allows you to trade calmly in chaos. It helps you bounce back from losses with clarity. It keeps you grounded when the market becomes irrational. The market doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards emotional stability. Pain is the path to get there. How to convert pain into growth. Here's your step-by-step process. White heavy checkmark. Step 1. Name the pain. Describe the emotion specifically. Fear, shame, frustration, guilt. Name it clearly. Don't numb it. Witness it. White heavy checkmark. Step 2. Locate the belief. Ask, what belief is this pain exposing? Example, I feel ashamed because I believe losses make me a failure. White heavy checkmark. Step 3. Reframe the belief. Create a new mental model. Losses don't make me a failure. They make me a trader. Mistakes don't make me weak. They make me human and aware. White heavy checkmark. Step 4. Integrate through action. Use the next trade as a training ground. Follow your plan. Feel the pain, but act from your new belief. That's how growth becomes real. Reflection exercise. The pain inventory. Take a journal and write the 3 most painful moments I've had as a trader. Underscore what those moments taught me. Underscore what beliefs were behind the pain. What new truths I choose to believe instead. This is how you convert scars into strategy. Final words, there's no way to avoid pain in trading. But you can choose what pain means to you. It can either be the thing that breaks you or the thing that builds you. Every drawdown, every frustration, every internal battle. These are not signs you're failing. They are signs you're growing. You're becoming more aware, more resilient, more aligned with the trader you're meant to be. Next time pain visits you in the market, welcome it. Say, you're here to teach me something. I'm listening. Because once you learn to feel your pain without fear, you'll trade with a kind of power that few ever reach. That is the real edge. Chapter 10. The path to becoming a disciplined trader. The goal is not to control the market. The goal is to control yourself. Inspired by Mark Douglas, you've made it this far, not just through a book, but through a deep internal journey. A journey into the mind, the emotions, the identity of a trader. You've learned about fear. You've confronted ego. You've unmasked the beliefs and habits that sabotage performance. And now, here we are, at the most important question of all. How do I become a truly disciplined trader? Because at the end of the day, discipline is the real edge. It's the one thing that separates amateurs from professionals. It's the trait behind every successful trading career, not the strategy, not the setup, not the broker. Discipline. Let's walk the path together. What is discipline, really? Discipline is often misunderstood that it's not about being rigid. It's not about suppressing emotion or forcing yourself to act like a robot. True discipline is this: the ability to follow your plan, regardless of how you feel in the moment. That it's the ability to prioritize logic over impulse, process over emotion, long-term growth over short-term gratification. And the beautiful truth: discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. You can build it brick by brick, trade by trade, day by day. Why most traders struggle to be disciplined? There are three common reasons traders fail to develop discipline. Crossmark 1. Lack of a clear plan. You can't follow what you haven't defined. Without specific rules, you're improvising in an environment full of emotional triggers. That's a recipe for chaos. Crossmark 2. Lack of emotional awareness. You can't control what you don't recognize. That if you're unaware of how fear, greed, or ego show up for you, you'll keep reacting blindly. Crossmark 3. Lack of repetition. Discipline isn't built in a single moment. It's built through consistent practice, especially when it's uncomfortable. The 5 pillars of a disciplined trader. Let's now outline the core framework that will guide your path forward. White heavy checkmark 1. Structure. Define your system. Discipline begins with clarity. What is your entry signal? What's your stop-loss method? How do you size positions? What markets and timeframes do you trade? Write it down. If it's not written, it's not real. White heavy checkmark 2. Routine. Build daily habits. A disciplined trader lives by ritual. Pre-market prep, post-market review, daily journaling, mindset affirmations. This routine creates stability. Stability breeds confidence. White heavy checkmark 3. Self-awareness. Watch your mind become a student of your own psychology. What thoughts lead to impulsive trades? When does fear show up? How does overconfidence feel in your body? Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional control. White heavy checkmark 4. Reflection. Learn from every trade. Discipline improves through feedback. After each session, ask, did I follow my rules? What triggered me emotionally? What will I do differently next? Time. Journaling turns experience into wisdom. White heavy checkmark 5. Commitment. Show up daily. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being present and consistent. Some days you'll feel off. Some trades will be hard to take. But the disciplined trader shows up anyway. That's what creates mastery, your new identity. The disciplined trader becoming disciplined isn't just about behavior. It's about identity. You must stop seeing yourself as someone trying to trade and start seeing yourself as a professional who executes with consistency. Repeat this to yourself daily. I am a disciplined trader. I don't need to feel good to follow my rules. I don't need to win to stay confident. I follow my plan, manage my risk, and trust my edge. The more you say it, the more you'll believe it. And eventually, the more you'll become it. What discipline feels like? It's important to know. Discipline won't always feel good in the moment. It might feel boring. It might feel restrictive. It might mean walking away from a tempting trade. It might mean accepting a loss without revenge. But here's the paradox. Discipline feels uncomfortable now, but it creates freedom and confidence. Later, undisciplined trading feels good now, but it leads to anxiety, regret, and inconsistency. Choose your discomfort wisely. The power of long-term thinking. The disciplined trader thinks in thousands of trades, not one that they don't obsess over. Each win or loss, they understand, my edge plays out over time. This mindset gives you emotional freedom. You stop reacting. You stop forcing. You stop over-personalizing the result. You just trade the plan, and slowly, but surely, consistency becomes inevitable. Reflection exercise. Your disciplined statement. Right. Your own personal trading commitment. Example. I am committed to trading with discipline. I will follow my rules. I will accept the randomness of outcomes. I will not chase, hesitate, or force. I will review, reflect, and refine daily. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to stay consistent. Read this before every session. Let it anchor your behavior. Final words. This is just the beginning. Becoming a disciplined trader is not a finish line. It's a lifelong practice. Some days you'll fall short. That's okay. The goal is never perfection. The goal is awareness, adjustment, and alignment. You now have the tools, a deep understanding of your mind, awareness of your emotions, a process built on probabilities, a plan for consistent execution, and a new identity rooted in resilience. This is what the disciplined trader was always about. And now, this is who you are becoming. The next time you feel fear, the next time you feel doubt, the next time the market challenges your emotions, pause, breathe, smile, and remember, discipline is your superpower. And you're not here to control the market. You're here to master yourself. That is the path. That is the edge. That is the trader you were meant to be. Conclusion: your psychological trading plan. Success in trading isn't about predicting the market. It's about mastering the person who's trading it. Inspired by Mark Douglas, you've reached the end of this journey. But the real journey is just beginning. The one that takes place not in the charts, but in your mind, your habits, and your identity. Throughout this book, you've discovered the truth. The difference between consistent traders and inconsistent ones isn't found in indicators, brokers, or platforms. It's found in psychology.in, how you think, feel, act, and adapt under pressure. And now it's time to put all of that knowledge into one place. Your psychological trading plan, not a strategy for entries and exits, but a blueprint for how you'll manage yourself in the face of uncertainty. Let's build it together. Section 1. My core trading beliefs. Your beliefs are the lens through which you interpret every chart, every trade, every result. Here are 5 empowering beliefs to lock in. The market owes me nothing. Every trade is a new event. I trade based on probability, not entitlement. Losses are a normal cost of doing business. A losing trade is not a failure. It's data. My job is not to predict, but to execute. I follow my edge, not my emotions. Discipline is more important than analysis. It's not what I know, it's what I do that matters. I am a trader, not my last trade. My identity is rooted in process, not outcomes. Take a moment now to write your own personal belief statements. Make them your trading truth. Section 2. My emotional management plan. Discipline is impossible without emotional clarity. Here's how. You'll manage your mind in the heat of the moment. Before a trade, breathe deeply. Review your setup. Ask, am I following my plan or my feelings? During a trade, stay detached. Let the market do its job. Avoid tinkering with stops or targets unless your rules allow it. After a trade, win or lose, journal it. Ask, did I execute correctly? If yes, celebrate. If not, learn. If emotions spike, pause. Step away. Reset. Remind yourself, discipline is my edge. You can't always control your emotions, but you can always control how you respond to them. Section 3. My identity as a trader. This is who you choose to be, day after day. Write this statement and revisit it every morning. I am a disciplined, consistent, and emotionally aware trader. I do not need to win every trade to be successful. I show up with patience, clarity, and confidence because I trust my process and I trust myself. This isn't just affirmation. It's identity programming, because you don't trade your strategy. You trade your beliefs about yourself. Choose them consciously. Section 4. My rules for psychological resilience. This section is your emergency protocol. When chaos strikes, you return here. White heavy checkmark. Never trade to recover losses. Revenge trades destroy progress. Reset and return with clarity. White heavy checkmark. Respect your daily max loss. Discipline under drawdown is where long-term traders are made. White heavy checkmark. Avoid trading when emotionally compromised. If you're angry, sad, fearful, or euphoric, step back. You are the biggest variable in your edge. White heavy checkmark. Follow your system, especially when you don't feel like it. That's when it matters most. White heavy checkmark. Celebrate consistency, not just profit. Track behavior, not just outcome. This is your psychological stop loss. It protects your most valuable asset, your state of mind. Section 5. The psychological plan in practice. Now, combine everything. Your daily checklist might look like this. White heavy checkmark. Morning meditation or breathing. White heavy checkmark. Review of psychological belief statements. White heavy checkmark. Read your identity affirmation. White heavy checkmark. Review system and trading rules. White heavy checkmark. Accept risk before every trade. White heavy checkmark. Journal emotional state during session. White heavy checkmark. Reflect after session. Did I follow my plan? What emotions showed up? How will I improve tomorrow? Repeat. Rewire. Reinforce. This is how professionals are built. Not in one perfect trade, but in one disciplined day after another. Final words. Your inner edge. You now understand what most traders never do. that the markets are not just about technical levels, candlesticks, or indicators. They are about you, your beliefs, your reactions, your resilience, your identity. The real edge is not in the setup. It's in the self.so if you want to master trading. Don't look for the secret strategy. Look inward, because once you master your emotions, once you operate from a place of confidence, detachment, and discipline, you become the rare trader the market cannot shake. You become the edge. You become the disciplined trader. Headphone, thank you for listening to this book. May it guide your journey, challenge your beliefs, and unlock the trader within you.